Hi everyone, Danny James here, and today we're going to be learning some of my favorite effects that you can easily incorporate into your music video editing projects. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and if you do enjoy the tutorial, kindly give the video a like, and that's the best way you can support me. Turn on post notifications so that you don't miss any of my new contents because I make new videos weekly. Now without further ado, let's jump right into the first effect that I'd like to show you. The first effect that I'm gonna show you is how to make a soft white glow transition onto your videos. I have this video right here on my timeline that I'm going to use to demonstrate. Now the first way that you can do this, make sure to highlight on your project so that you can add an adjustment layer. Just add it right here, and if you're using an older version of Premiere, you need to go to File right on the top hand side, and you can find the adjustment layer here. I'm going to drag it right on top of my transition, and I'm going to space it right in between these two clips 5 frames each. So I'm going to hold shift from the middle, go to the left once. That takes me 5 frames, and on the other side 5 frames. Okay, once you have your adjustment layer ready, it's time to go to your effects tab, and you need to look for a brightness and contrast. I'll find it under color correction. If you don't find your effects tab, go to Windows and make sure effects is enabled. If you are unable to find any tab, first go to Windows and try to check it first before you panic. So I'll drag my brightness and contrast and place it on my adjustment layer. I'll also look for a blur, and the one I want to use is a Gaussian blur. I'll put it right here. I'll go to my effect controls, and once again I'm going to keyframe my brightness and make sure right at the center I'll drag this keyframe, and I'll make sure the brightness goes to 100. From the beginning it goes back to 0. I'll reset that parameter, and on this side once again to 0. Now what this does, it ensures that as we approach the transition, everything becomes brighter. If you need this to be a little bit more brighter than this, just click on the brightness and contrast parameter, click Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. Now we have two multiple copies of the same thing. Now I also want to drag my Gaussian blur right beneath the second brightness and contrast, so you can see everything becomes a little bit bright. Now the second thing you can do, I'll disable the brightness, the two adjustments. I'll repeat edge pixels for the Gaussian blur, and I'll also increase the blurriness to around 30. Now I will enable other parameters, and let's play this clip and see how it looks like. Yeah, it looks really good. This is actually a free way to do this, and it's important if you can use the Gaussian blur to give you that sort of a glow, which you can see. If I try to disable it, things are sort of clear and crisp, which is not what we're looking for. Now I'll show you a different method to pull off this look. You'll have to use a plugin, which I will also link below, and anyone who is using Windows or Mac will be able to install it for free. Now the other method, let me just duplicate this clip. I'll squeeze all the other clips to the right. I'll duplicate these two clips, holding Alt, squeeze them to the right side. Now the other one, you're going to be using a Red Giant Universe glow. If you have Sapphire, you can also use it. Right in the middle of these two clips, go to the right hand side once. I just held shift and my arrow keys to go to the right ones to go 5 frames, and then I'll drag my razor tool and I'll make a cut. I'll do the same thing on this other side, highlight these two clips and then nest them. I'll go to my effects tab and I will look for a glow. Right under Red Giant Universe, I'll find this universe glow, put it right there, and you can see instantly everything becomes a little bit shiny. And you can adjust these adjustments in your effect controls. You can come to this intensity. I will place it at around 1.3 so that it's not excess. As you can see, it really acts on the lights and the brighter parts of this picture, which makes this transition very smooth. Now there are a couple of things you can do. You can add a keyframe for intensity. Go right into the middle, hold shift once, right into the middle. I'll add a stopwatch for intensity. We can have it at even at 3, or I'll leave it at 2.4. Go into the beginning, reset the parameter back to 0, and then you can go on this other side, reset the parameter back to 0, and squeeze that keyframe. Now let's see how this looks. It blends really well. Try not using this Red Giant Universe on a adjustment layer because you run into issues, especially if you want to use keyframes. After the second effect that I want to show you how to pull off a boomerang effect. What you basically want to do, you want to identify a point in time where you want to make a boomerang. You can see right here I'm doing it manually with my mouse. I'm thinking about right here, just make a cut, get the razor tool and make a cut. I'll go in front a few frames, and right about here I'll also make another cut. I'll give it a different color so that you can easily follow along. Once you've identified this clip which you want to make a boomerang of, you want to duplicate this clip twice. So I'll squeeze the rest of the video just so that you don't get confused. I'll hold Alt, pull it right above, and then I'll squeeze it right to the right hand side. And on this second clip, I want us to go to speed. I just did a right click, speed, and then reverse speed. So it should go like this normally and then start reversing. To finish off this look, we need to continue with the video which just began the same thing. So I'll hold Alt, drag the duplicate right beside, and then I let the video run on from there. If you've observed, this is a really cool boomerang, but you can make it a little bit better. So how you want to do it, you want to have several duplicates of these two. I'll highlight these two clips, make another duplicate of them and set them right here. Make sure you have snapping enabled so that it's easy to place these clips right next to each other. To add some extra sauce to these, you want to highlight on these 4 clips. Just ignore the first one and then go to speed, and then you can increase the speed that they go by. So I can put it at around 200. Also make sure to enable ripple edit so that everything is squeezed back to its position. Now if we play it back, this is what it looks like. Yeah, that's good. So another effect that I'd like to show you is how to make a freeze frame transition. I'll show you how to make a freeze frame, and afterwards I'm going to show you how to make a frame hold. Now the latter is a little bit more easier to do than this other one. So I'll start with this one, which is a little bit more complex. Go to the beginning of this next clip. I want to get a selection of the artist. So how I want to do it, I want to first of all click on this clip and drag it up, right click, and then add a frame hold. So basically what that will do, it will ensure the entire frame stays like this. So I'll push it to the beginning and then I'll trim the others. The video goes from this one and then it goes to a frame hold which continues with this video. Now the trick here is to make a mask around the subject. I have many tutorials explaining how to use the pen tool in Adobe Premiere and make a mask around the subject. I'll make a quick mask around Young Eme right here using my pen tool. So I'll go to my program window and enlarge it. You can also zoom in using these parameters. See when I'm done. Once I'm done doing the mask, you can see the results appear immediately. You can click somewhere randomly so that you can see what you selected. I'll just increase the feathering. That's okay, and I'll also reduce the mask expansion just by -1. That seems okay. You can fine-tune that according to how you feel like. So this video will go from this clip and then the artist will pop up. You can leave it as that, but you can always make it better. You can add a keyframe for this. Under motion, go to position, enable a keyframe for position. The final outcome, you can drag that keyframe to the very end, and then you can have this begin from the bottom coming upwards. So it will just start like this and then it will join. I find these commonly used in almost every drill video, and you can add more variations to this. Let's do something simple. I'll make another duplicate of the same. I'll have the artist appear from the left hand side. So let me delete all the keyframes first so that you don't get confused. I'll disable the other video inputs. It will come from the left hand side. And I'll drag this keyframe right here and I'll have it come back to the default position, and I'll drag that keyframe. If I enable these other 2 frames, we'll have 2 freeze frames which come together from different sides and they join. You can extend the time if you feel like it goes for a very short amount of time. You can extend the time of these clips and then make sure to rearrange those keyframes and squeeze them to the very beginning. Something else I like to do, I like playing around with colors. I would go to my effects and look for an RGB, put it right on both clips, and then let's alter one of it so that you can have a different color coming along. Like this one, I want it to have this yellow feel, and the clip which is right beneath, I will increase the reds, and then I will also reduce the greens to bring in magenta, and that looks really classy. So you can experiment around with your keyframes and how you want them positioned. Something else you can do, let me just disable this RGB. I'll show you something really cool that you can do. Go to your effects, you can look for a glow. I have the sapphire glow. You can also use the red giant universe. Let me use the one that I've already used in this tutorial so that you can easily follow along. You see we get this glow around the artist, which is really cool. That looks okay. Something else that I will do instead of using a plugin, I would look for a strobe effect. Drag the strobe light on top of your two freeze frames, and then what you want to do, go to your effect controls and you can change the color of this strobe. Let me start the first one with something as cool as, let me go for this green. You see it's affecting this one, and then change how the strobe operates. You can put it on screen to get some good looking results, and if you feel like it's overriding the character so much, you can change how it blends with the original image by adjusting this parameter. Now we have something cool. We'll do the same thing on this other clip. We'll have it change it from that to screen, and then we'll give it the color that we wish to. Let us give it a deep red, or this is a pink. It looks okay already. In case the color is a little bit too much, you can always play around with how it blends with the original image. Now we have something cool going on. This can really make your work look really neat. Now I'll go off to this other one which I told you that I would explain. I will show you how to do a frame hold. I'll use the clip that we had in the beginning, this clip right here. Let me copy it. So right inside this clip, I'll do a few frame holds so that you can see what you're really doing. I'll start around here. I'll give it a few frames, and then I'll duplicate these, right click and add a frame hold. Delete the excess which is right here, and you can also trim these quite a bit. So the video goes from this, and then it stops for a second, goes on, and then you can repeat the same thing. I'll hold Alt, copy this, and then add frame hold at this exact point. Delete the first part, then you can trim the parts which you want and bring it here. I'll also match the amount of time they occupy, 5 frames each, 5 frames. Let's make sure they are not really spaced. I'll do a third one, and then you can finish off from here. Right click on it, add frame hold, and then I'll trim it. 5 frames, that looks okay. Let me play this back. So I find this looking really cool, but you can add some extra sauce into this. Again, we are going to be using the same things that we've been learning throughout this tutorial. For these frame holds, we'll go to our effects, and I'll bring in an RGB right under image control, drag it on top of this, and then I would also like to add some noise into it. Again, here's the noise. It should be right under noise and grain. Drag it on top of all your clips. Now we can go to your effect controls of any one of them and alter how it looks like. So I'll play around with these colors. This looks quite okay. And then just like that, I will also add some noise into this. Around 6 to 10 looks quite okay. You can play around if you want the color noise or not. I find it looking quite okay. So it will give it some sort of difference from everything else. Now, instead of repeating the same thing on these other clips, I'll just copy these parameters. So I'll hold Control, click on both of them, hit Control C. Since I had dragged and dropped, I'll delete these ones, and then I'll paste these ones, and I'll do the same thing on this other one, just to reduce the amount of time that I spend doing the same thing. And now if we play it back, we have some good frame holds. Yeah, that's it. Now I want to show you one effect that I really find useful, and it's how to use a camera shake. I'll drag a bit so that you can easily demonstrate this. So let me just play this beat and I'll enable sound so that you can hear the instrumentals. So I can see these drums which hit. So at these points I will enable the camera shake. I'll come with my razor tool and make a cut right there. Let me just play the beat. Okay, right after it beats, I'll make that cut, and then I'll do the same thing right here, and then I'll give it a few seconds and then cut it, and I'll repeat the same thing with this one here. Now go to your effects and look for a shake. For this one you'll need either the Sapphire shake or the Red Giant Universe. So let me use the Sapphire shake this time, and if I'll go to my effect controls, let me just play it as it is. You see? So let me just copy these parameters. I haven't really changed anything, but I want you to see what it does to your video, and I'll copy the same Sapphire shake to this other part. So let me highlight the parts which have this camera shake. Now let me play and you'll see the big difference that it brings to this video. Yeah, that's a really good one whenever you are working on drill beats. If you time that well with a beat, you will really find good results. Try not engaging this shake over the entire course of the video, but make these small cuts like the one that I made. Yeah, that's it. Now I'll show you my bonus effect. It's about how you can zoom into glasses, watches and all that. I have a tutorial which focuses on how to zoom into chains, watches, but this one I want to show you how to zoom into, for example, a car window. Let me get a video here real quick. Now we are going to transition from this clip into Yang Ma. Now you can see I want us to zoom in through this window and use it as an object which we are going to zoom in. Now what you want to do right at the end of this clip, the very last second, I want us to add a frame hold. Now we have learned how frame holds work, so I'll drag and duplicate this clip. At the very end, it's this one, so it's at this frame. Right click on the video and add a frame hold. So the frame hold will be applied on this part, which I can extend it. So let me delete the excess, so the video will go from this to a constant frame. And remember, the video of Yang Ma will be playing right beneath. Let me just change the color, so we'll go from this to this. Now from here it's pretty simple. We need to make a mask around this window. Now since this frame doesn't move, it's pretty much easier. Go to your opacity and find this free draw bezier, and let's draw something around this window. This is pretty much easy. I have connected all my points, so let me just disable the video which is right beneath. I will also invert the mask so that we select everything from this frame except this part. So the video is going to move from this, and then it will have sort of a hole inside here. And then from this point, all we need to do a zooming. Before you can do that, we need to adjust the anchor point so that we can scale into this video from this perspective right here, because right at this moment, if we try scaling in, we are sort of scaling towards the middle. Now that's not what we want. We want to move this anchor point from right here into, let's say, into the middle of here. If I try doing the scaling, it will be very much easier. So I'll add a keyframe right in the beginning. I'll add a keyframe as we go towards the end. I want to zoom into this mirror. After that, I'll squeeze this keyframe to the right hand side, and now it will look like this. Yeah, that's quite smooth. I hope you understood the basics behind it. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this video. I hope it has been really useful and insightful towards your editing work. In case you have any suggestions, queries or questions, kindly drop them on the comments box, and I'm really happy to interact with you guys. My name is Danny James, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.